Imagine waking up tomorrow, and for exactly 1 second, gravity completely disappears everywhere in the universe. If you picture this scenario based on movies, you probably expect to lift gently off the floor, watching your morning coffee hover in midair for a brief, peaceful moment of weightlessness. The reality of physics paints a much darker picture. Losing gravity would trigger an instantaneous, violent cataclysm across the entire planet. Look at this animated diagram of space-time to understand why. Albert Einstein's General Relativity describes gravity as the invisible curvature of space-time itself. Massive objects like Earth warp the space around them, creating a gravitational well that forces smaller objects to follow its curve. This invisible scaffolding is the universal glue of reality. It pins the nitrogen and oxygen of our atmosphere to the rock under our feet. It holds your internal organs in place. It anchors every star to its galaxy. Now we start the clock. At time 0, that invisible scaffolding vanishes. Across the entire universe, space-time snaps perfectly flat. All gravitational force is eliminated simultaneously. Without this fundamental architecture holding the physical world together, the laws of inertia take absolute control. We are suddenly at the mercy of Earth's own immense momentum. 1 millisecond has passed. Gravity is gone, but the Earth is still rotating at over 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. The ground beneath you is moving, but nothing is pulling you down toward it anymore. This cross-section diagram of the Earth's surface shows the immediate mechanical failure. Humans, buildings, cars, and even deep-rooted trees instantly lose their tether. Because of rotational inertia, every object on the surface begins traveling sideways at supersonic speeds. At 10 milliseconds, the effects hit your internal biology. Gravity pulls your blood downward, and your body exerts constant pressure to pump it back up. With the downward pull gone, that pressurized blood abruptly stops pooling in your lower extremities and violently rushes upward into your chest and head. Internal biological pressures and the immense rotational momentum of the planet become lethal the moment the gravitational tether is cut. At 100 milliseconds, the destruction scales up to the planetary level. Earth's oceans are no longer confined to their basins by planetary mass. Trillions of gallons of water begin rapidly bulging outward, lifting directly into the sky. This diagram of Earth in a vacuum illustrates the parallel crisis in the sky. The atmosphere loses its anchor. The compressed gases that make up our air begin swelling outward, peeling away from the crust and escaping violently into the absolute vacuum of deep space. For anything still surviving on the surface, this triggers an explosive atmospheric decompression. Across the entire globe, breathable air simply vanishes in a fraction of a second. Deep beneath the crust, the liquid core sits under billions of tons of gravitational pressure. Removing that load causes the compressed molten iron to expand outward with enough force to fracture the tectonic plates from below. The Earth is a heavily compressed spring, held together solely by its own mass. Releasing that tension means the planet immediately begins tearing its own surface apart from the inside out. Half a second, 500 milliseconds has elapsed. The breakdown of celestial mechanics extends beyond our atmosphere and into the wider solar system. Looking at this diagram of our solar system, we see the immediate failure of orbital physics. The Earth, the Moon, and the neighboring planets instantly abandon their elliptical orbits around the Sun. Inertia takes the wheel, sending every celestial body flying off in perfectly straight lines, tangentially into deep space. Expanding the scale further to entire galaxies, the structural integrity of the cosmos fails. The invisible glue holding massive star clusters together dissolves, leaving distinct spiral arms beginning to unspool and scatter their stars outward into the dark. Physicists often note that gravity is the weakest of the 4 fundamental forces. A simple refrigerator magnet can overpower the gravitational pull of the entire Earth, yet it possesses an unmatched ability to govern reality across infinite cosmic distances. The clock ticks to 999 milliseconds. For this brief, terrifying fraction of a moment, the entire universe sits in an unprecedented state of rapid unbinding. Everything from blood cells to supermassive black holes is adrift. Gravity dictates cosmic order. Without it, the universe instantly transitions from a structured, synchronized system into a chaotic, expanding debris field. 1 second mark. space-time aggressively snaps back into its curved state. The universal force of gravity is instantly restored everywhere at once. The physics of the return are catastrophic. Every object, building, and person that floated upwards even a fraction of an inch over the last second is suddenly caught by Earth's mass. They slam back into the shattered ground with crushing, lethal force. The massively displaced water from the oceans, which had lifted into the sky, crashes back down into the fractured ocean basins. The sheer volume of this falling water generates global hyper-tsunamis that rush inland, obliterating any coastlines that survived the tectonic cracking. Above the destruction, the atmospheric collapse finishes the job. The escaping air is violently sucked back to the surface by the restored gravity. This massive re-entry of gases compresses rapidly, generating superheated shockwaves that sweep across the globe, shattering anything left standing. On a broader cosmic scale, however, the damage is heavily contained. Earth's surface and its biological inhabitants are utterly annihilated by the shock of the transition, but the planet itself, the solar system, and the wider universe survive the momentary hiccup, pulling their scattered pieces back into stable orbits over millions of years. For billions of years, gravity has quietly shaped every star, every planet, and every step you've ever taken. It is relentless, invisible, and essential. We ignore it every day, but lose it for just 1 second, and the universe as we know it begins to irreversibly unravel. If you enjoy exploring the mysteries of the universe through real science, subscribe to SVortexPHY and join us as we uncover the incredible physics behind our reality.